We, the Bangla people, welcome you to our country. We are the lawful inhabitants of this peninsula for thousands of generations. We are part of this land on which we stand, part of the waters that flow in and around. We are part of the dreaming stories that are connected. The full awareness of oneness with the land and waters will ensure a future for the children of tomorrow. Ngaya Punaguru Bangala Mirinya, Yura Damilbu. Thank you.
Thank you and welcome all to our council meeting here Monday 16th of June. In opening the meeting, in delivering our oath to Whyalla, we, the Whyalla council members, commit to serving the community of which we are a part and will work together diligently and collaboratively to create a prosperous future in which we all can share. The traditional obituary notices for those that wish to stand, and then a moment's silence. We respect Greg Hollinshed, Primrose Carruthers, Rachel Isaacson, Kevin Tians, Peter Katsiavos, my apologies, Katsiavos, Margaret Lawrence, and Jane Anderson. Thank you. Item 4, our attendance record. We have apologies from Councillor Westerman, Councillor Inglis, and Councillor Todd. We have no leave of absence. I do thank members coming out tonight. Whyalla at the moment does seem to be in the midst of a whole range of winter bugs, flus, and even worse from past years. I too have been affected in the last couple of weeks, and I have almost lost my voice twice. You might be lucky, and it might be the third time tonight. Item 5, Council Member and Executive Declarations. 5.1, conflicts of interest. Does anybody have a conflict of interest they feel they should declare? No conflicts of interest, thank you. 5.2, gifts and benefits. Does anybody have a gift or benefit they feel they should declare? No gifts and benefits, thank you. Item 6, the minutes of the previous meeting. 6.1, confirmation of the minutes of the previous ordinary council meeting held on Monday the 19th of May. We have a recommendation. There are no questions. Would somebody care to move that recommendation?
Yes, it is. Okay.
Right. The names have finally settled down. Move Councillor Simpson, seconded Councillor Pond. I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. Item 6.2, the confirmation of the minutes of the special council meeting held on Monday, 2nd of June, 2025, with similar recommendation. Move Councillor Knox, seconded Deputy Mayor Border. Put the motion. Those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. Item 7, matters adjourned or laid on the table. We have none. Deputations, we have none. Petitions, we have none. Do have item 10, public question time. I do have a question from the public from Mr. Freemanis, a resident, in relation to confidential items, his question is, please explain the process of items remaining or being removed from confidence, e.g. C5579-2025, shall remain in confidence until such time as condition no longer exists. What is the process? Where are deliberations on this recorded? Must be done annually, February. The answer is Section 90 of the Local Government Act 1999, the Act, prescribes matters which Council may consider in confidence where it considers it necessary and appropriate to do so. Section 91 of the Act enables a Council to order that documents or parts of a document relating to matters considered in confidence be kept confidential. Where Council makes such an order, it must specify the duration of the order or the circumstances in which the order will cease to apply, or a period after which the order must be reviewed. Any order that operates for a period exceeding 12 months must be reviewed at least once a year to determine whether or not the confidentiality of the document needs to be retained. The Register of Confidential Orders is reviewed in February of each year. If Council wishes to discuss the details of the report during the meeting, Council will need to order that the public be excluded, with the exception of Council officers present, from the meeting pursuant to sections 92 and 3 of the Local Government Act 1999, given the current confidentialities are still in force. The deliberations on the annual review of confidential orders is recorded at the time of the meeting and included within the February Council meeting minutes. That ends the question. Item 11, Council member activities. As I scroll up on the screen, as usual, I'll give members a brief opportunity if you wish to elaborate on any. Otherwise, thank you for your continued diligence. Item 12, presentations, nil. Item 13, committee reports, nil. Item 14, reports council officers, 14.1, Office of the Chief Executive, ordinary reports. 14.1.1, Chief Executive Officer's action report for June 2025. We have a recommendation to take the report as read. If anybody has any questions of the CEO before I call for a mover. Councillor Knox.
A couple of quick questions. There's a reference to Davidson's visit to Whyalla and an opportunity to meet with the elected members was to be sent out. I didn't see it.
Through the Mayor, I wanted to brief the councillors about that tonight with the intention to send the invitation out. It will be at 3 o'clock tomorrow for half an hour. It can be via Teams or in person, and it's essentially an opportunity for elected members to talk to the recruitment agency that's going to be assisting with the recruitment of the directors' positions.
And the second question was on page 36. Is there any response from Court of Mentha to the rates inquiry we sent out March, April?
That's in relation to the payment in rates.
Yep.
And lieu of rates. So we reported previously that we had sent a letter to the Steel Task Force as well as the state government and also to Court of Mentha. We are awaiting a response from the state government through the state Steel Task Force. I've been advised that a letter has been drafted and it just needs to be signed by the independent chair of the Steel Task Force. When that is received, then we'll know essentially what the state government's position is on that subject matter, which will then inform what future discussions we have with Court of Mentha. As an aside, I will also just share with councillors that we recently raised and Court of Mentha have paid our annual payment in lieu figure for the current year, which is in the order of about $900,000.
Councillor Loss, anything further? Thank you. Councillor Pond.
Yes, I did see that you've had a meeting with Howard Coote. Just wondering if you could give us a bit of a recap of how that went.
Yep, through the mayor. It was a good meeting. Howard Coote, who works for the RDA EP, is working with a number of Indigenous community members looking at the establishment of a Indigenous board to operate in Whyalla, similar to boards that operate in other cities such as Port Lincoln and Ceduna. They have, Howard and the group have met with BDAC to talk about the desire to establish that group in Whyalla, and I understand that BDAC is supportive of that, noting that it's got a very different role and function to BDAC. The next step was for the group to meet with community members to start to socialise the idea of the Indigenous body, what its purpose might be, what its membership might be, what its aims and focus will be. And at this point in time, we're looking at the 29th of July in the morning, 10:30 to 11:30 as our next coffee catch up. That council will do an open invitation to all Indigenous community members to come and attend. And at that coffee catch-up forum, provide the opportunity for that group to talk to community members about what they're seeking to achieve. So work in progress, but heading in the right direction, I think.
Thank you.
Councillor Clobbergill.
Just quickly, page 46, you had a meeting with Drew Shannon, the Managing Director of United Salvage. Could you give us a summary of that?
Yes. Through the mayor, so United Salvage is a company that we've met with on a number of occasions, who do, amongst other things, or they're seeking to do shipwrecking, so decommissioning naval ships and vessels. They submitted a tender to the Australian government back in October or November last year to dismantle a significant piece of facility that's located northwest of Australia. I'm not sure which sea it's in, but it's a significant structure. Because of the Australian government election and the caretaker periods, there's been a period of absence or silence from the federal government in terms of where that tender process is up to. So United Salvage were keen to ascertain whether we'd seen or heard anything regarding that tender process, to which I made some inquiries, and at this point in time I don't have any further information to provide to either United Salvage or to council. Suffice to say, however, that because of the silence or the absence of feedback to date, one can only assume that the tender is likely to be sent offshore as opposed to potentially to United Salvage, who were planning to use the Whyalla port slipway to be able to bring that facility in and onshore, and then have the recycled steel utilised in the blast furnace, which obviously has a lot of synergy. So, but at this point in time, we haven't heard anything yet from the federal government, but I suspect that they're probably not going to be successful, which will be a shame because it would have represented something like about 120 jobs for Whyalla.
Any further questions? CEO?
So thank you, Mayor. Just in addition to my report, I've made reference in the report to the fact that we have engaged Davidson to do the recruitment for our 2 or 3 director positions, as well as the manager of asset and planning. This represents the last ordinary council meeting that our 2 directors, Kathy Jarrett and Jade Ballantyne, will be attending. We have been blessed to have the stable executive leadership within council over the last 5 years, and the successes of our council and our community over this period is due in part to the passion, strong commitment, strategic oversight and excellence demonstrated by Kathy and Jade respectively. Their contributions have been marked by a focus on organisational improvement, community engagement, major strategic initiatives, and navigating a complex structural and operational challenges. I wish to acknowledge their efforts to act with integrity, humility, and collaboration, despite some of the challenges and obstacles in their way. Jade and Kathy have both raised the bar in Whyalla, bringing a level of professionalism, focus on quality, and a clear intent to deliver higher quality of service with everything they have contributed to. I just wanted to take the opportunity just to run through a very brief list of achievements, which is not an exhaustive list, but rather just to illustrate the depth and breadth of the contribution that both have made to our city. So in terms of Kathy, starting with Kathy, Kathy's made a significant contribution, leading, amongst other things, the development of the new airport terminal, including full passenger and security screening, largely funded by the federal and state federal government and Qantas. New runways, apron and lighting upgrades completed within 9 months, both ahead of schedule, under budget, and to a high quality standard to accommodate the larger planes servicing our city now, largely funded by the state and federal governments. Kathy assisted or oversighted the relocation of our civic building from Darling Terrace to Grundle Street, was an active contributor to us securing $12.7 million of proceeds from the sale of land to state governments, led the WTF community plan process, as well as the Flourishing Whyalla inaugural UniSA Industry Fellowship, was very actively involved with the induction and compliance of the new council in relation to the sweeping reforms of local government, the Local Government Act, including behavioural standards, council leadership charter, behavioural support policy, mandatory training, etc., etc. Kathy also oversighted the system modernisation roadmap, which will be implemented over coming years, and helped co-create the state dinner held by Her Excellency the Governor at Government House. Kathy also, as part of the team, contributed to council securing $32 million in grant funding from federal and state governments to effect council identified strategic projects. Kathy has also helped establish a high-end independent audit and risk committee and provided significant support to that committee, and together with the team has established and matured the relationship between council and the state government. Jade has also made a significant contribution and impact in Whyalla during her term, including leading the Foreshore Master Plan that was not only consulted on, but funding secured and is currently in the process of being implemented. Together with the team, supported securing the $32 million in grant funding for various projects, as well as the $12.7 million proceeds from the sale of land to state governments. Fiercely advocated for the new ambulance station and new recreation and sports facility to be constructed in the right locations in our city. Also was active in helping to establish and mature the relationship with the state government, has oversighted the contemporary childcare facility upgrades that we should all be proud of, activated the energy centres, including the foreshore and civic modular pods, each or three of which were installed for the cost of one bricks and mortar installation, has brought a new consciousness to integrate storytelling into public realm furniture, as seen with the foreshore toilet vinyl wrap, help reinvigorate contemporary visitor service and tourism assets within Whyalla, including new signage on all major highways and destination points, including the Northern Coastline, ship tours, steelwork tours, and the much famous Whyalla merchandise range. Helped curate Hello SA's visit, which has delivered 4 years of elegant depictions of Whyalla, compared to some of the other coverage that has been experienced in Whyalla in the past, has obtained recognition of the Cattle Fest as a state strategic tourism event and tourism asset, was orchestrated the Unearth Whyalla as well as Sleeping Giant promotion videos, which has both served us well, and also curated the inaugural Whyalla Air Show. As the only two members of the executive leadership team at the time of their resignation, their departures represent a significant transition point for our organisation. The task in front of us now is to recruit a new executive team to drive a cultural renewal that should become a key focus of the elected members group, as well as the council's leadership group. Our council, both staff and elected members, and the community at large, need to embrace external talent and diversity of thought. We need to rebuild the executive leadership cohort as a high-functioning, well-aligned, collaborative and mutually supportive team who will lead the organisation and its cultural change over coming years. We will need to actively consider how we onboard and socialise the new executive, both within our organisation and within our community, to set both the new executive and ourselves up for success. As an organisation, we need to better embrace new leadership perspectives, particularly those that challenge the status quo or introduce contemporary approaches from outside our region, and better support those that come to serve the interests of Whyalla, integrate both into our organisation and into our community. I would like to personally thank both Jade and Kathy for their consistent support, trust and professional respect that they have provided to myself as the CEO and to each other as part of the executive management team. I trust that both Kathy and Jade will leave City of Whyalla with a genuine sense of pride, contribution and accomplishment, and on behalf of staff and councillors, I wish them every success in their respective futures.
Thank you, CEO. Nothing more that I can say other than to thoroughly endorse what you have just said and how we have benefited so much from Jade and Kathy. And certainly wish them well. Don't forget Whyalla or else. In the right light. Item 4, right, we've got a recommendation in front of us there. No further questions. Do I see move Councillor Knox, seconded Deputy Mayor Border? Put the motion, those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. 14.1.2. Council nominations for the Whyalla Hospital and Health Services Health Advisory Council. We have a report there. I will refer to the CEO. We'll take it as read. Anybody has any questions? Refer to the CEO.
take it as read. We'll just seek nominations in the first instance. And
Councillor Knox?
A question.
Yes.
It doesn't seem quite right to me that we nominate people to this organisation, yet we never see any reports coming out of what's actually going on. So what is really the purpose of council nominating somebody when that person can't provide the feedback to council?
through the mayor,
Yeah.
I'll have a attempt to respond. Unfortunately, Councillor Thea Westerman is not here tonight, but my understanding is that Councillor Westerman has had difficulties attending some of the meetings, and as a result of not attending the meetings, she's not in a position to then be able to report back, but I'm not sure which meetings she's been able to attend and which ones she hasn't. The idea of having a proxy and a staff member also nominated, as we had done previously, but that staff member left, was to ensure that there is feedback to the council and a two-way sharing of information between the council and that advisory committee.
Well, I recall asking the same question about 4 years ago, and we still haven't received any information from it. So I just quick question why we want to get involved, but I guess it's a state government requirement, so we can go along.
Councillor Klobuchar?
I'm a current member of the HAC, community representative, and there's minutes of those meetings produced every month or whatever long we have the meetings, and I'm sure that they would be fine letting council or providing to council for information.
Thank you, councillor. Something we certainly not need to look into the procedure. Councillor Simpson?
How often are the meetings? Or how regular are they?
They've changed slightly. I think they're bi-monthly now, it's every 2 months. For about 2 hours.
I guess certainly this is an opportunity to relook at our involvement and to ensure that we're taking information two ways. Do we have Councillor Pond?
I'm happy to nominate.
Nomination from Councillor Pond. Does anybody else wish to nominate?
I just check. We obviously haven't got the updated details of your appointments to this committee. Councillor Klobuchar, what was the term of your appointment? Was it for the balance of the term of council?
It's every year, no, so I'm just a community member.
Oh,
So
just a community member.
it's my
Okay,
fourth
sorry.
year.
Councillor Campbell.
I would like to nominate as proxy. Second.
We have a nomination from Councillor Campbell. Do we have any further nominations?
Then we've got to get someone to move.
Yes. We have two nominations then. Councillor Klobuchar,
Move.
you're moving the motion, the recommendation of Councillor Pond and Councillor Campbell being our nominations for the position of local government member on the Whyalla Hospital and Health Services Health Advisory Council. Second, Councillor Knox.
Yes.
I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. Item 14.2, Corporate Services Ordinary Reports. 14.2.1, the monthly budget report of May 2025. We'll take the report as read and in the first instance, refer any questions to the CEO. Councillor Campbell?
Oh, sorry.
Does anybody have any questions or comments? Councillor Pond?
In one of the lines of the report, it says some income streams may be slightly below budget than first estimated. Has this been altered and taken in consideration for next year's budget or the 2025-26 budget?
Not at this stage. So when when they happen through budget reviews, they do get considered into the budget. Where they're quite late in the year like this, and there might be some small underruns, we'll take them into account in a budget review next year. But just because of the way we formulate the budget, it's quite hard to sort of integrate them this late. They'll get listed and considered as part of normally the Q2 budget review next year, and the flow on effect through the long-term financial plan. Yep.
Any further questions? In that case, we have a recommendation. Would somebody care to move? Deputy Mayor Border?
Moving.
Seconded Councillor Knox. We have a motion, a recommendation there. I'll put that recommendation. Those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. Item 14.2.2, the 2025-26 annual business plan and budget adoption and rate declaration. We have we'll have a number of recommendations. In the first instance, if anyone has any questions or comments, I'll refer you to the CEO. No questions or comments? Sorry, I thought.
Yep, sorry. Just
Yes.
getting my microphone ready. Through the chair, just a couple of very small comments. You'll notice in the report there were some items in the recommendations that were highlighted yellow. That's because council has to adopt the most recent valuations available to them, and they're published each Friday. So the figures in recommendation 3 have changed very slightly from some late changes to a small number of properties, but the rates in the dollar for all the property types did not change from the published agenda. So just wanted to bring that up. In terms of passing resolutions, if there are a lot, if council doesn't want to pass all of them separately, they could pass the first resolution separately, because that's the adoption of the annual business plan, and then council really has to adopt most of the other resolutions that are consistent with resolution 1. So the rest could be passed on mass. So resolution 2 onwards could be all passed together, but resolution 1 should be passed separately.
Is everybody happy to proceed on that basis then? We have recommendation 1. If there are no further questions or comments, do I have Councillor Knox? Moving the recommendation 1, seconded Councillor Simpson. I will put the motion then. Those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. Now moving on to the remainder, we can do all these en masse. So I just need one mover, one seconder. Move, Councillor Knox.
I'm happy to move them en bloc.
En bloc, thank you. Deputy Mayor Border, you're seconding en bloc?
Yes.
Thank you both very much. In that case, I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you so much. Right, moving on to item 14.2.3, the fees and charges register for 2025-26. You have a recommendation, Councillor Pond?
Yes, the last section refers to leases. Is that in regards to the new charges from the external consultation that we've had?
Yeah, I'm happy to answer that through the chair. Because of the way our leases are structured, that basically is a historical document which needs to be updated each year, because many of our existing leases refer to CPI increases each year. So I did discuss, we had a quick discussion with Kathy, that section actually still needs to be in our fees and charges because of the way they refer. However, the way that as new leases come online, they'll refer to the new fee structure we've put in place, and each one will be negotiated separately through that process, and then over time that section will become redundant in effect. But it just needs to be there for existing leases.
So this is the new structure that was recommended
So
to us.
because of the
No?
way the new structure can't affect existing leases. It'll only affect new leases as they fall due for renewal.
Mhm.
And then those new leases won't refer to a separate schedule like this anymore. Each lease will be fully self-contained and won't refer to this document. But that document is required for all of our existing leases. But is not consistent with the review because they are separate.
So this is a transitional piece. So the recommended lease fees, which will be negotiated with each of the groups over a period of time of implementation. So the adoption of this schedule will not impact that body of work. So that body of work will be needing to be introduced over a period of time because we can't change all leases in one block. You know, those leases that expire next year, that's when the new fees will come in for that expired lease. Then ones that come in the year after and the year after. So the existing negotiated lease position with those leases that are currently still in train will continue until such time as they become due for renewal. But any new leases that are entered into from this point on or from next week on after the special council meeting, the new framework will apply immediately.
Right, because I did ask for a rundown on what the changes would mean.
That's coming
for
next week.
leases. That's
That's
coming.
coming next Monday night.
Because I'm not happy to pass that until we actually see what
Absolutely.
the impact it's going to have on each community and sporting group.
Yep. So next week, what you'll receive as part of the papers is a table which shows the existing lease fee and what the new fee would be under the new framework, and then what the time frame that it would be from an adoption point of view of that new lease fee. And it could well be that depending on what the jump is from the lease fee today to the new lease fee, if it is a considerable amount, then it can be phased in over a period of time. So that similar to what we've done with the change from site value to capital value, you need to smooth these sorts of changes in across the community so that the impact is not so significant that it puts a difficult position on those lessees.
Definitely.
So absolutely, the a stepped transition into the new framework will be required, and that will be worked through next week with council.
Lovely. I'm all for consistency and everyone having an even playing field. I'm all for that. I just don't want to have a massive impact, as you said. And yeah, thank you.
And what I will say is really the fees and charges document should be a document that refers to general fees that aren't negotiated with individual parties. Like that schedule over time we'll just get rid of, because really the fees and charges document should just be about fees we charge to the general public when they use a service of council, or one set by the state government that we charge for. Really anything that's within a separate agreement shouldn't be really referred to in our fees and charges document.
Councillor Simpson.
My query in the same lines as Councillor Bond is the fact that based on what I've already mentioned about these fees being increased in line with Bentley's report, we've never actually met on the Bentley's report. It came up one meeting at a briefing and got deferred. We've not discussed that at council level at a briefing. I had a page and a half of document of questions, and the item got deferred.
Yeah.
We're not done it again.
So in relation to the Bentley's report contains two different pieces of work. One piece of work around the benchmarking of the hire facilities and room hire and the different sorts of fees and charges that are captured within the fees and charges schedule. and the Bentley's report has benchmarked those higher fees and charges against 6, 7 other councils with the similar nature of facilities. And so this fees and charges recommendation from Grant in the context of the higher fees and that body of work is based on the benchmark data presented by Bentley's in that report. It is not to do with the leases and licenses. That body of work is coming to council next week for a complete workshop in terms of setting that entire framework that needs to be made. So these proposed increases in the fees and charges schedule are based on benchmarked data and are not, in the order of
Yeah, and so the
in
reason
the order of
that,
CPI or
yeah, they
so
were a
on.
little bit high. So that benchmarking with a lot of the higher fees, you know,
Yeah.
they saw increases recommended around the 10% mark. So there weren't crazy large increases, and so we thought it was timely to implement the hiring ones that have been benchmarks against other councils. That's for things mainly around room hire and that sort of thing. And as Kathy said, the main body of work around the leases will come to council separately.
Yeah, I don't agree with you. That documentation made some ambiguous statements saying that we're undercharging. It's underutilised. And then they put the price up anyways. I think we haven't discussed this at all. And you're adopting it. Is that right? That you're adopting it without discussion?
What we can do is we can adjourn discussion on this particular report, and we'll include it on as part of the full discussion next week in terms of the leases and licenses as one methodology. My apologies that you are feeling that way. Certainly not our intent. What we felt was that the benchmark data that was contained in the report was the fair and reasonable position in terms of higher fees. That doesn't actually.
Like I say, that's in Ben's opinion, not our opinion. That's in Ben's opinion.
Yep. That higher fee is not based on utilisation. So utilisation is a very different function in terms of the use of the facilities, and that also needs to be discussed further by council in terms of the dual and shared use of facilities and the need to actually move towards greater shared use of facilities so that we get better utilisation. But I accept what you're saying, Councillor Simpson, absolutely. Very happy to adjourn this item, and it doesn't matter in the context of, it'll be before the end of June that we'll get a resolution on it.
That's different. I think that wasn't the Bentley report.
No, but the adoption of the fees and charges.
Yes, and so we could adopt that next Monday night at the special council meeting.
Getting a bit tight for things like childcare fees and telling families, you know, things like that. So that's the thing. The earlier the fees and charges are adopted, the better it is because we have to communicate some of the fees that start on 1st of July to users. So that's the only complication.
So an alternative approach could well be, and Grant, you might have a position on this, is that we, for other than the childcare fees, that for the or that council could adopt the childcare fees tonight at the council meeting tonight, and we adjourn consideration on all other fees until next Monday night is one option. Or in fact, I think that's probably
more than
an
happy
option
that
that you could do.
Yeah. More than happy with that option.
Yeah. So the resolution then would be that adopts the recommended childcare fees as contained within the fees and charges register presented to the council meeting this evening, and requests that all other fees and charges in that document be workshopped by council at the 23rd of June special council meeting.
The one might be cemetery. If we did childcare and cemetery, I think that's if people were comfortable with that.
Yep.
just allows time for things that need to be put in place. Yep.
You go from one extreme to the other, cemetery and childcare.
That's the whole life spectrum, councillor Knox. So
Before I go as far as putting the recommendation, councillor Knox, did you have a question as well?
I had a couple of points to make. First of all, on page 103, we are rip-off merchants. We're selling reclaimed water for 25 cents a litre. Which I'm sure is not correct.
Sorry.
I'm sure it's 25 cents per kilolitre, but it actually says per litre. So I do read the agendas, as somebody asked me tonight. And also on page 104, the workplace pod at the library, I'd never heard of this before. So it's a newbie to me, and I guess it's a newbie to the rest of the council members as well. I'm just wondering, how much did it cost and how much was the installation of the thing? I presume it needed power and things like that.
No, it's within the library. I'll take that on notice because the cost was very low from what I believe, because it hasn't really shown up in any of my budget reports. I did have a quick discussion with library about it. It got done while they were doing the fit out, like the carpets and the other things that were happening there, and I believe it was purchased through like the operating budget, some project budget line there. But I can come back with the exact price. I might be able to find it tonight.
Thank you. That being the case, I'm happy to move the resolution.
Thank you, councillor. So we have motion moved by councillor Knox, seconded councillor Pond. So we have those three recommendations. That's still correct. I haven't been paying attention to the.
I'll just ask one other question. In regard to point number 3, where the CEO sets and adjusts the security screening fee, I presume that a report will come to council advising on what basis the changes were made and how much the changes are. Not saying council approval, just to keep council informed.
Yeah. Right, we have the mover and second of the three recommendations. I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. 14.2.4, Whyalla Airport Runway Upgrade Project. We have a recommendation there that we note the progress of the Whyalla Airport Runway Upgrade Project. If anybody has any questions, Deputy Mayor Border?
No questions, just moving it.
You're moving it?
I'd make a comment that it's been a very well done project.
Yep.
By all accounts.
Councillor Pond seconding?
Absolutely.
In that case, I'll put the recommendation, the motion. Those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. 14.2.5, the appointment of an independent audit and risk committee members. We'll take the reports as read. We have a number of recommendations there. I'll refer in the first instance any questions or comments to the CEO. Councillor Simpson?
Rather than, we look like going out to consultation or going out to looking for a new audit committee member. When we did this last, we had 29 applications, and we thought about contacting any of them before we got the marketplace and see if any of them are available or solutions.
Thank you through the chair. Absolutely, that list of applicants will be our starting point. So what we will do is we will create another list and use that list as the base, probably add a couple, take a couple off, depending on whether they're still in the market for these sorts of things, and go out again.
Councillor Pond?
I'm not opposed to the 2.5% rise in fee for the members. Just want to know that we can afford it and what sort of an impact that's going to have on our budget.
Yeah, through the chair, that's basically built into the budget already because it's roughly in line with CPI. So the budget increase allow for that increase.
Thank you for your question, councillor. Deputy Mayor Border.
Just in regards to what Kathy, you were just talking about directly contacting previously interested candidates, is it possible to bring a report back to council to say, here's the list of people that we've contacted, here was their response, before we go and commence a marketing program of recruitment that's going to incur us external costs?
There won't be external costs in terms of recruitment. We'll do all of the recruitment in-house. So we will advertise on LinkedIn and ARCD. There are memberships already existing within the organisation that can all be done for free. So there won't be any recruitment costs whatsoever associated with this. But certainly a report can be brought back to council, and you can consider who you would wish to shortlist. So we'll do a campaign in terms of understanding who the long list is. We'll go through that long list from an administration point of view and bring back that long list confidentially to the council with our recommendations of shortlist.
Thank you. And on that note, happy to move.
Move Deputy Mayor Border. Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Simpson? We have a mover and a seconder. I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. 14.2.6, the revocation of dedication to council and community land status. We have a report we'll take as read with a number of recommendations. Any questions or comments? In the first instance, I will refer to the CEO. Deputy Mayor Border.
Oh, I'm happy to move it, but I just wanted to speak to it momentarily. Just that I think it's really important to highlight that the revocation of community land in Whyalla unlocks significant potential for our city's future, and that redeveloping underutilised sites unlocks economic growth, creates jobs, and enhances in tourism and housing opportunities. And I encourage continued strategic planning and community collaboration to overcome city development bottlenecks, which we've encountered in various ways over the last few years, to continue to build Whyalla in a thriving way, as much a thriving way as possible.
No, certainly, Deputy Mayor, thank you. Councillor Knox? Seconding. We have a motion. Mover and second. I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. 14.3, City Growth Ordinary Reports. 14.3.1, Community Grants. Time of the year again for community grants. We have recommendations. We have had attachments. In the first instance, if anybody has any questions or comments, I'll refer to the CEO. Councillor Knox.
I do have a question or comment. South Whyalla Junior Football Club, the amount of money that they've requested goes to purchasing football uniforms. And I can understand their reasoning behind it, but you open the Pandora's box. You provide uniforms for their juniors. How many other clubs in Whyalla are going to jump on the bandwagon?
And this is why we bring these to council. So it's up for you to have a discussion.
That was my question as well. I thought it's creating a dangerous precedent, because I don't remember ever council funding playing trips for kids or seniors. So I think we're creating a precedent here, and I think we should be very careful about what we do.
Any further questions or comments? Deputy Mayor Border.
Yes, I'm sure I've seen it in the monthly report, but I'm sure there's a group, and someone help me out here if I can't name it, that specifically supports families that are disadvantaged or that can't afford sports uniforms. And so perhaps it's an idea that money that may have gone potentially hypothetically towards South specific uniforms perhaps goes to that group, or we offer some support to that group where people by application, regardless of the club, can access some financial support to buy the uniforms.
Thank you. Councillor Knox.
I'll move the recommendation with the exception of South Whyalla Junior Football Club.
We have that recommendation from Councillor Knox. Councillor Campbell.
I'd like to put forward that we ask the South Whyalla Junior Football Club to come forward and give us a presentation about that application. We don't know what their individual circumstances are, and there may be exceptional circumstances that will sway us to give them that that application and that grant. I think every grant application we get should be considered on its own merits. And we should give them the opportunity to put that case to us.
Yeah, I'll get the other comments. Councillor Pond.
I agree with councillor Campbell. Not sure of the background behind it. I think if we get more information, we can make an informed decision. It might just be a one-off. Maybe they've had a really bad year for the juniors. We just don't know their circumstances. And I agree, we should take every application individually on their own merit. So a presentation would be great, and just a bit more information for Deputy Mayor Borders' query. There is a group that help young people, but the group that I'm aware of is Indigenous young people, not for everybody. We do have sporting grants out there. There's coupons that you can get, but that does not go very far. It's about $100 per family. Doesn't go very far when you've got a few kids in each family wanting to play sports.
Councillor Simpson.
I'd like to second Councillor Knox's proposal.
On this basis, then, that we have a recommendation.
I'd like to speak to have the right of response, please.
Yes, certainly.
Okay, and I'll be brief. If you go through the report in detail, which I have, last year the juniors made a profit of $2,300 in the last year, and they have members accumulated funds sitting at $25,118. So they're not in poverty, and I just say again, it's a dangerous precedent. If I was involved with sport like it used to be, I'd be coming for council for uniforms for our juniors that I used to be involved in, and I'm sure others will follow suit.
Thank you, Councillor. So the recommendation currently in front of Council is that we approve the application for community grant funding of the Youth Opportunities Australia and Air Gymnastics Club. That's the recommendation as it stands at the moment. CEO.
Can I just ask the question? There was a couple of councillors that talked about the merits of inviting South Whyalla Football Club to come and present. Did you want to move an amendment to request that South come and present to council? You'll need. Sorry, I'm just trying to provide administrative support. If you want to do that, you need to move an amendment.
I'd like to move an amendment to invite South Whyalla Junior Football Club committee member or committee to come and make a presentation for their application for the community grant, so that we can have more information and be more aware.
Just clarification, that amendment doesn't cover Councillor Knox's.
No, it's in it.
Yeah, so yeah, that's what I just want to clarify. So your amendment would be the recommendation as has just been discussed, plus inviting to present to council.
I think we should invite them to present before we reject their application. I think personally, I think rejecting it just straight on what it is without getting more information.
But I think we're rejecting, the way I see the motion at the moment is we're approving youth opportunities, we're approving Air Gymnastics Club, and we're inviting the club to present to council on their community grant application.
Yes.
And then we make a decision, or you make a decision after that.
Thank you. Yes.
So if you've got clear in that, that is what the amendment is.
With respect, it doesn't necessarily need to be an amendment. It could be a separate
It
resolution.
could have been, yes. Yes. Yeah. Would the mover and seconder be happy to incorporate what Councillor Campbell has raised?
Most times I would say yes, but in this set of circumstances, I would say no, because they have provided the information that we need. We know their finances, etc., and I still wouldn't be in favour of it.
Like Councillor Knox, I read the financial details and $27,000 at the disposal, which is more than we have at our disposal for that particular fund. So I'm saying no as well.
Seek a second for amendment.
So the amendment we've discussed, we have a mover of the amendment, councillor Campbell. Do I have a seconder for the amendment? Councillor Pond, you're seconding the amendment. If everybody is clear what the amendment now is,
With respect, Your Worship, I don't think we are clear on what the amendment is. Does the amendment include granting the other two grants or not?
yes,
So it includes those
the
two
amendment,
and the third thing.
the amendment accepts that we support the youth opportunities and the air gymnastics. We invite presentation from the football club on their community grant, at which time the elected body will then make a decision.
For the benefit of the councillors, because I see there's an element of confusion, can we have three separate parts, please? Or sorry, two parts. 1A and B, and 2. Yep, A is youth and B is air gymnastics. And then resolution 2 is invites. Just for convenience of everyone, just get rid of the strikeout so it's clear. Yep, just delete it.
Aren't we being a bit? Why don't we just say we adopt Councillor Knox's proposal, and that we invite Southend to give a presentation to reapply with a presentation?
Effectively, that is what the amendment now on the table.
And saying about reapplying, but never mind.
It's just to be clear. So the amendment that is on the table at present for your consideration provides money to 2 groups and invites the 3rd group to come and make a presentation.
We're happy or clear with that because we have a mover and seconder of that amendment. And no further questions. I'll put the amendment. Those in favour? Those against? Motion is the amendment is carried and becomes the motion. Yeah. Yeah, I was just watching to make sure I wasn't too far in front.
And by Councillor Knox.
Yes.
To sum up.
Do you wish to speak again? Sum up, Councillor Knox.
I think I've said everything I need to say. I think it creates a dangerous precedent. We've got lots and lots of sporting clubs in this town. Some of them probably are struggling a lot more than other clubs. Maybe South's one of the ones that's not struggling so much. But I just think it creates a dangerous precedent, and I'm certainly not happy to support it. I just don't think we should be getting involved in that, and I would think that we're going to get an avalanche of requests from sporting clubs to provide uniforms for juniors.
Thank you, Councillor. But well, at least this motion will delay that for further discussion. The amendment is now the motion. I'll put the motion. No, I'll call for a mover of the motion. No, I've already got it. Yes, the amendment becomes the motion. I'll put that motion. Those in favour? Those against? Motion is carried. Thank you for your deliberations. Item 14.3.2, the change in name of the Council Childcare Centre from Whyalla Childcare Centre to Whyalla Early Learning Centre. Take the report as read. Any questions or comments? I will refer to through the CEO. He can hand them out.
That's fine, Grant. I was just going to reinforce that this purpose of this is to really reflect new contemporary views on these centres, and childcare centres. It's not contemporary anymore. They are early learning centres, and the staff put a lot of effort into their qualifications to ensure that's the offering. We have made an amendment to the recommendation to reflect a past change where we weren't registering the business name. We were operating under the corporation of the City of Whyalla, but it's been advised that we don't continue this pathway and we formally record and register that business name. So we've made an alteration since your agenda was released.
Thank you for that explanation. Point I was discussing with the CEO today. Councillor Pond, do you have a question?
I'm happy to move. Are you just coming into alignment with every other ELC? Thank you.
Right, Councillor Knox.
Seconding.
We have a mover and a seconder of the motion. Move Councillor Pons, seconded Councillor Knox. I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. Item 14.3.3, the Civic Park Play Space update. That we note the Civic Park Play Space report. Take that report as read in the first instance. I'll refer any questions or comments to the CEO. Deputy Mayor Border.
Happy to move it, and I'd just like to make a comment. Yeah, just that this has the potential to really lift the spirits of the community, which I know is what it's designed to do, and it looks fantastic. And I think it really strikes at the heart of the city in a really positive way.
Thank you, Councillor Pond.
Happy to second it, and I'd just like to back that up by saying I think our children are absolutely going to love it. The families are going to love it. It's going to give heart to our centre of our town. It's very exciting. Well done.
Right alongside a brand new car park.
Yeah. Sorry, Mayor, can I say one more?
Yeah.
Sorry, just one more comment. It was just in relation to how we got to this point at this point in time, which was the fast tracking of project works to help the local contractors. So I think that in the totality of this whole project is a very good story to be sharing with the community as well as a great result. It's the way we got here, which is another thumbs up.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. We have a yes.
I'll just add, thank you very much for all that enthusiasm expressed. And this will be challenging for us in getting a landscaping project of this scale done prior to our larger foreshore master plan stage ones. This is a good trial, so there will be trees removed. There will need to be earthworks, the lay down location for all the materials delivery, and the site is all going to be a very valuable experience for our team internally and its administration, but also local contractors. So it'll be a good learning experience as well.
CEO.
Just passing on a question. With the graphics that's provided, are they true representations of what we're going to be getting, including multi-level play facilities on Annexure A? You can look at that, or Councillor Simpson asked his question.
Councillor Simpson.
I was going to ask if Jay's going to hang around till it's finished. No? Not going to hang around?
I'm cutting the ribbon. I'm going to wrestle the mayor.
Okay, that's fine.
Not all, no, some of the, not all those pieces of equipment and are coming for us. It's the
Not this page, but
no
every page thereafter is correct.
Yeah.
So we'll have to be careful with that first bit. Sorry, into nothing. So we'll just have to be careful with that first graphic because that doesn't then reflect what we're getting at pages 2 and beyonds, which is
correct. It's the overlay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right, we've got a mover and a seconder of that report. There's no further questions or comments. I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. Item 14.4, City Infrastructure Ordinary Reports. There are nil. 15, Information Decision Reports. 15.1, Council Members. 15.1.1, the Mayor's List of Engagements. A little bit lighter on as a result of the last couple of weeks of winter bugs. So I've got to get the whip out and whip myself up and get the numbers back up. Moving on, 14. Hang on.
Questions?
Yeah, sorry, I usually do. Any further questions that
You
I
might,
can
you
answer?
might have been sick, but it was still a good body of work. But I've got a couple of little questions. The BDO interview, re-hybrid work arrangements, can we have some details on that?
That was the consultants were looking at the use of motor vehicles, working arrangements to come back with a report to council, which I believe is coming back at the.
Through the Mayor, I provided an email to councillors over the weekend or late last week
Right,
that
yes.
it will be presented formally following the Audit and Risk Committee's consideration of that report at its August meeting, but in the interim I'll circulate it under separate cover.
And another question,
The
councillor?
other question was the SA Mayor's dinner. Were there any takeaways from that we can learn from?
What do I dare say publicly other than the Lord Mayor has a brilliant chef on staff? It was completely organised, funded, covered by Adelaide City Council, Lord Mayor Jane Lomax Smith, as an opportunity for mayors to get together without CEOs, without aides, without anything, purely on a social capacity. And so I guess it was just an opportunity, as you would in dinners. You don't all mix, you in different areas, just general conversation about issues, sharing problems, discussing how they have done things, how you have done things. A lot of issues were being discussed about CEOs actually, and the Remuneration Tribunal having failed to look at regions as they should and not compare us with capital cities. So there was a lot of criticism there about the Remuneration Tribunal's outlook, which I do believe is still being challenged. But it was more of a social opportunity to then chat and get mayors from different areas as well as your own areas on a better social base, more camaraderie. You can see I'm struggling. Camaraderie and also just general discussion about issues and how you handle things. No specific take-home message to put out, but I guess in all mayors it rubs off then as you are undertaking various issues. Hope that answers the councillor. Deputy Mayor Border.
Moving.
Oh, right, thank you. Do I have a seconder then, please? Councillor Simpson? Thank you. I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. 15.2, Corporate Services City Growth. 15.2.1, the Monthly Information Report. As usual, a fairly extensive report covering a whole range of activities that have been undertaken. Councillor Simpson?
I agree with it. It's a very good report. I have a question, but it's a trivial question. Customer's request. It says unknown 3. Source of inquiry, unknown 7. I just wondered, what are they? Just out of curiosity, nothing dramatic. It's just I wonder why you have unknown questions.
Yes, certainly. Whichever.
Yeah, it's just the way the data's been recorded into the system. So somebody, as they've been recording in the customer request, has missed a field. And the topic one will be that they're probably not able to be classified rather than unknown, because we do get some very unusual things that come in. But the source of request would be someone would have missed recording that on the way in. So it does happen from time to time.
It's either, yeah, it's either that or there are customers that don't want to divulge their name or give any details. That does happen.
Thank you for your trivial question, Councillor. Deputy Mayor Border.
Happy to move it. And I just wanted to point out on page 201, just the photos of the library, and having been in there a few times to check it all out, it looks absolutely fantastic. And the notes we're talking about staff working 10-hour days, I think that's worthy of acknowledgement as well. Lifting heavy boxes, brilliant result. So that's fantastic. Also the rec centre facade upgrades. I mean, there's a lot of money spent there on the pumps, and then on the resurfacing of the leisure pool and the grass out the front, and then the excuse me, and then the facade and the images that are in the report just look really fantastic. Like, I really believe that that's going to make a huge impact to the enjoyment of that facility. And then a suggestion on page 210 in the media report, we're looking at less content on Facebook and more content on the MLS, My Local Services app. And I know that we're promoting the MLS app, but I just wonder whether yourself or the council could do a video, again, just highlighting the benefits of for the user of the MLS app, that lets you know that the bins are going out, that you're getting push updates to your phone when articles are being released and there's updates on works around the community. So just to promote that even more than we already are is just my suggestion as well.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I'll certainly make our comms team aware of that, as if they aren't already, but the emphasis from this meeting. Councillor Pond.
I'd like to second this report, and I'd just like to say I appreciate the effort that goes into gathering all of this information. I think this is really beneficial, not just for us to see how productive our services are, but also for the community as well. That you just see the work behind the scenes. And thank you very much. Much appreciated. Please keep them coming.
Thank you very much, Councillor. A line I will pretty well always use, particularly on Triple Y where you've got the extra time, is that I will guarantee, and nobody's challenged me yet, that if you are genuine and serious about knowing what's going on in Whyalla, you will discover something you don't know. And I will stick by that. I will guarantee you will. The average resident, ratepayer, will discover something they don't know. Pardon? What would we do without you, Councillor Simpson? Thank you. Have you've lost me?
Yeah, I was just going to say something quickly.
Yes, that's it.
You mentioned the fit out of the library, and I found the answer to Councillor Knox's question from earlier about the library, so I thought that was a good time to answer that. So what happened? So that room, the quiet room, was 15,000. But what I've just gone back through my notes. So there was some replacement of furniture happening at the library anyway, and so there were a number of informal quiet study areas, and so they basically reduced the number of them by one, and replaced the furniture in those areas as well. But there had been some requests for a more private study type area, and so that's the one we've added the fee for different type things. We'll see how that goes, and we'll test it over that initial period. So there still are some informal quiet areas, but there's this one formalised quiet area that's been added as part of that furniture replacement.
Thank you for all that. We have a motion moved and seconded. I will put that motion. Those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. Item 16, notices of motion. There are nil. Item 17, questions on notice. 17.1, corporate services. 17.1.1, response to the question from the last meeting to do with cuttlefish and the Santos escape roads. You have that in your agenda there, the question and the response. Councillor Knox?
There's not a complete response. If you look at the question 1, the road from the Cuttlefish dive site to False Bay needs to be shut. It's near impassable in sections to access and drive through. That road is not covered in the response.
SCEO.
Some information was provided to councillors via email that we're going to present some further information tonight. Sue King, our Acting Director of Corporate Services, is about to provide some further information in relation to that road. So we'll just wait for Sue to join us and get the imagery up on the screen.
Mm. Indented nose road.
One job.
Yeah. Can't work out why I didn't answer it properly in the first one. It's the first question.
May I suggest, Mayor, that maybe if we go on to the 17.2.1 and deal with that just whilst we get the audio visual sorted for this item, so if we can come back to this one and just deal with the next one.
I have a question. I notice if that's what you want. No, that's not a question. That's a question without notice. That's a question without notice, sorry.
Yeah, while we're trying to sort this out, folks, perhaps if we jump to, and we'll come back to questions on notice, item 18, questions without notice. Councillor Knox.
I have one. One of the things I've noticed in the reports about the airport have been the health and safety issues that they've had to deal with as they've gone along. Now, we're a board for this council. We are a council, but we also act as a board. And I think as a board, governing council, we should have some idea of what the health and safety issues are within council. Not down to the nth degree where it names or anything, but the types of incidents that are happening and maybe how much time is lost in those types of incidents. And it would form a really good KPI, the CEO's appraisal as well, which we're going to have to do. We'll need to set those KPIs. So I'd like to ask that we look at providing a quarterly report on council's health and safety issues.
I may request that the Director of Corporate Services responds in the first instance in relation to the reporting we do for the Audit and Risk Committee.
Absolutely. So the Audit and Risk Committee have on their work program an assurance that insurances and work health, safety and culture and ethics and integrity are all actually very sound. And so the Audit and Risk Committee do get reports of that nature. What we can do is to ensure that the portion of those reports are very specific and is much easier for you to actually discern what the council's performance is in areas of work health safety without it actually going down into detailed information which is within the realm of the Chief Executive Officer's responsibilities. So absolutely agree with you 100% that there should be reporting coming through to the council in terms of are council systems of health and well-being adequate to ensure the safety of our staff? So absolutely, and that will come through reporting through the Audit and Risk Committee, then on to into council, similar to what we do with procurement.
Yeah, thank you for your question, councillor. Right, we've still got some problems there, so
Any other
No.
questions?
Yeah.
If there's any
Yeah.
other questions about.
yes. Do we have any further questions without notice? Councillor Pond.
Yes, and my apologies that this has probably been answered before, but I actually forgot to write down the answer to this. Just wondering when we can expect an update on the RAP.
Thank you through the Mayor. We have submitted our second version of our RAP to Reconciliation Australia, and we are confident that the next process will be them giving us approval, and then we will start the launch. So we have already developed the RAP template, the imagery that we're going to use. We're just needing Reconciliation Australia to sign off on our final pieces of our content.
When will we see that? I thought we actually would have seen it before it got signed off.
Because we haven't actually pulled it into the final document, we're just working on a Reconciliation Australia template. We're getting them to approve it. Once that comes back, we can bring it back to council before we actually send it off to the printers.
Thank you, councillor, and thank you for the response. Right, going back to questions on notice, the Cuttlefish Santos Escape Road issue.
Thank you. Yes, I do acknowledge that the full question without notice was not responded to, and that the point between the dive sites, Black Point Lookout, and then to False Bay Shacks was not covered. What I can report is that that is not a gazetted road. It is a track. It is under the care and control of council, and the first series of pictures that you will see up here are the 3 kilometres of track that goes from the dive site through to Black Point. So Michelle, if you could just kind of scroll through these, and you'll be able to see the state of that track. It's considered, sorry, I need to just, it's considered in poor condition given the gravel. This is taken across the 3 kilometres. So there's about 21 photos here that show the state of the road. As we then move from Black Point to False Bay, we'll also see that the road in some sections is still quite rough, and then in other sections the road is far more passable. What I can report is that we have been regularly grading parts of the road, but we also have encountered some native title, which is making it quite challenging past the shacks for us to continue to do any further work. So this map here shows from the dive site through to Black Point and then to the end where the shacks are. So that's covering the full set of pictures that we showed earlier. Potential cost to do work on this road is about $120,000. It's similar to Gulfview Drive, the work that was done on that, albeit that stretch of track was longer and cost council $145,000. There is the option to place some signage up that talks about it being a 4-wheel drive accessible only, depending on whether council did or did not want to invest the funds to do more than the grading work that is already happening on that track. Sorry, I just want to be clear that the only track that is looking to be closed is the escape route that is near Santos.
Deputy Mayor Border.
couple of questions. That last point, so that's looking to be closed. So we vote on whether it's being closed or not.
That is actually not our road. It's owned by Dew. Santos and council did have an agreement in place where it would be monitored and looked after. That agreement has ceased. Santos no longer wish to invest any funds in it. If council wanted to do anything with that road, we'd need Dew approval, and then we would need to take on responsibility for that road, which could cost up to $120,000 to maintain that. And we are suggesting that the administration is not recommending that course of action, but rather work with Dew to put appropriate signage up.
Yep. So I like the idea of the signage only and leaving it not within our control. The next question I've got is that the grading that's happening from the dive site to False Bay, that's currently in the budget. There's no extra cost that's happening at the moment that's already budgeted for.
No.
No. So
it hasn't been highlighted as the priority road necessarily in our program. There is budget for unsealed road renewal. We've started budgeting for that. We previously hadn't, but now we have a budget allocation each year. But I guess there are other probably higher priority roads such as Golfview and the track road down to Menini at the moment, because as Sue's pointed out, that the port, once you get past the shacks at False Bay end, that's the end of where it is a road, and after that it is a track, similar to the one for the Santos Escape Road, except this land is under our care and control. That's the difference. But there are some native title issues. But so I guess the answer is there's money for unsealed roads, but this road hasn't been currently prioritised as the high priority road.
thank you. Am I understanding it correctly that it has been graded before though? And
That's correct.
And that money had obviously that's included in our budget.
Correct.
And there's a program of works to continue to keep it at the current standard.
Problem is
the grading only occurs to basically the shacks. There is no grading that's been done between False Bay and the dive site.
Okay.
So the photos that you just saw, the first 21 photos, are for that 3 kilometres, and council is currently not grading that road.
And that's the bit that's 120 grand's worth to bring it to raise the quality of that section of road is $120,000.
Correct. And it's a track, not a road, because it's not being gazetted as a road.
Yes. Okay. And the lower cost option is to just put signage up to say 4-wheel drive only, drive to the conditions, etc. Just notifying, which is going to be a much more cost effective option than actually remedying the issue that we're talking about. Yep. Okay.
Correct.
Councillor Knox.
In the past, I have driven over that track quite a few times. I may not be so keen in my new car, but I did regularly go along that track. But I do agree that we need to maintain the grading to then the road surfaces, etc., into the shacks at False Bay. But I think once we get past False Bay, we should have signs saying four-wheel drive track only. Having said that, though, there are a couple of creek crossings as well that do a road out. I mean, I did it once, and there was just enough room to get my car over the culvert. All the rest of it washed away. So that's a while back now. So I think we need to look at those sorts of things on a regular basis. But I'd be happy if it was a four-wheel drive track.
The only thing I was going to say, the issue is when you look at the state of that road, it's at the end of life for grading. Like it needs, if you're going to bring it up, it needs resheeting, needs material down on the road. Like grading is not, unfortunately, going to do a lot out there.
If there are no further comments, can I make a philosophical comment, please, CEO, on this? Irrespective of future funding, I believe we've got a philosophical outlook on that road that we should be looking at it seriously. We have been prepared to spend money. We want to spread the dive sites along that road, and yet we don't want to do anything about the condition of the road. To put signs up to say four-wheel drive only indicates to the community that we've shown defeat in that we're not prepared to spend the money. Now, I'm not saying we've got the money to spend on it now. My view, as I said, is philosophical. If we've got other roads unsealed that we believe need to be on the program out there, I believe this is something from the dive site back as shown on that map. If we're serious and we're trying to get more people to spread out there, that needs to be thoroughly looked at and put into a program forthgoing, not just to sit back, because if it's only for four-wheel drive, it will then continue to deteriorate, and we've already got investments out there. End of the sermon. Now, I'm completely lost. So, right, we've had that explanation. That was the answer with more information. 17.2.1, the Visitor Information Centre Whyalla Business Directory. Councillor Pond had raised a question. Are you happy with that answer, Councillor Pond?
I just wanted to ask, what is an official publication? I have here the QR code and the pamphlet that I was speaking about. Would that be considered an official publication? There are many, many businesses on here. It is just one piece of paper with a QR code. I don't want to lead the resident astray saying, please take them down to get them put behind the desk to be handed out if this is not classed as official. It's a business. There are many, many local businesses connected to this. They pay $10 a month to have this service. So just wondering if this is classed as official.
Thank you for your question, Councillor Pond. I must admit, in reading that, because I only saw the agenda yesterday, by the time I was able to spend some time reading it, I found the wording of your question and the answer somewhat confusing. I wasn't quite sure what particular guide
So,
was being asked to be advertised in or stopped, and I just find it confusing, both the question and the answer.
hopefully I can take the confusion out slightly. So visitors centres, if they are to be accredited, have accredited publications of which people have paid to be advertised in. So you see our Whyalla Visitor Guide that we try and go out and get businesses to pay to be in, and then all the South Australian Tourism Commission brochures from Regions, Splendors, Fleurieu. They're the accredited publications. What the visitor centre staff are suggesting, if this is a good compromise, is that the unaccredited, those type of things, are behind the counter, and as they're engaging with the visitors, if they could see benefit in sourcing businesses that aren't likely to pay for a visitor guide ad, they could share that. But to ensure that when they get there, if they want to be an accredited visitor information centre, it wouldn't pass audit having that in the pamphlet on display, but behind the counter they're happy to. So that was what they were trying to convey in that and feeling a bit for those that might fork out $275 to $500 for their placement Whyalla businesses in the Whyalla Visitor and Guide. They're trying to find that compromise between that and that one.
Thank you very much for that. I was just a little bit confused because Port Augusta have them in their visitor centre, and I was just thinking, what was the difference between us and these are our businesses than Port Augusta? But if you're happy for them to go behind the counter, and if people are asking, I just didn't want to lead the resident astray.
The team are trying to be protective of those Whyalla businesses who have paid a lot of money to be in our Whyalla Visitor Guide, and for them to ensure they get that accredited profile in the display, versus because getting the Whyalla Visitor Guide published every year is getting harder and harder and harder due to the costs of advertising. So they're trying to honour those that have forked out significant expense.
Yep.
And then be responsive though if a visitor happens to say, I really need to get my car serviced, or the RV's popped a bearing, where can I go? And they would hand over that in that instance.
Yeah.
Where, Whyalla Bearings isn't going to advertise in the Whyalla Visitor brochure. That's the compromise they're trying to achieve.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Going back to 18 questions without notice, we've had that. Sure. We were motions without notice, item 19. Any motions without notice? Councillor Pond?
After our recent conversation about Cuttlefish Road, I would like to put a motion forward that we seek to put up signs temporarily for four-wheel drive use only along that road. but then investigate how we can find the money to invest in patching, fixing, making it usable for not only our wider community, but also our tourists and our many, many other visitors. Don't know how to word that. Sorry, need help. Sorry. I've got one liner. Motion for signs for now and investigate to fix.
I'll refer to the CEO with a question. A protocol as whether that's as a motion without notice to be addressed now or to go back to administration for a report to come back to the next meeting.
Thank you, Mayor. Prior to you moving that, I was thinking that we would bring a report to council to consider that road, what's service level and standards we believe is required to then inform decisions about what maintenance regime and or signage that we need to put in place. So if councillors can potentially leave that with us, we'll bring back a report as opposed to you moving something which includes at present actually committing money to put up signs, which depending on what report we come up, that may not actually be the best course of spending public money if we're actually going to do the work. So instead of trying to make a decision tonight without all the information in hand to inform that decision, respectfully, I'd request that we don't move anything tonight and council administration will bring back a report. If you want to move something, I'd request a report regarding what action is proposed to be taken in relation to that track/road.
Yep. Yeah, that sounds fantastic. I just don't want this to take too long though. For public safety, I think we need to speed it up. So yeah, happy to put a motion forward if needed for a report to be written, or does that not need to be happened?
I think your motion is to request that it comes back to council. Would somebody care to second Councillor Pond's?
I've got my,
Councillor Knox.
I've got mine there, but in seconding it, could I ask when the report comes back, one of the critical ingredients is going to be where are you going to source the rubble from? I can't think of any rubble pits in that vicinity, so I would imagine it's going to cost quite a bit of cartage. So that will need to be taken in. Probably the biggest part of the cost will be the cartage of rubble to the site.
I can answer that. You're right. Cartage will be the main cost, but we've recently signed a lease for all of our concrete at the Mount Laura site that we're accepting to be crushed at a pretty reasonable rate. There's also some white rock at that site that we can get crushed at a pretty reasonable rate. So that's actually how we did the stretch on Cuttlefish on Goldview Drive this year, using that material. So there are cartage costs, but the overall cost per kilometre is actually pretty reasonable from that.
And if I can, through the Mayor, add to that, part of the waste solution for the waste out at the airport in terms of the profiling and the profiling filings, they have all been tested and established that they can be used for resheeting and so on. So, you know, we do have quite a source of resheeting material that will be very suitable for the roads.
Yes, you might want to think about it. We did a trial going back in the 90s using slag from PHP as it was then on the roads and crushing that down. And that worked quite successfully. We did it in partnership with Brambles. Brambles had a contract to get rid of the rubble or the slag. So we tried it out on a couple of roads, and it seemed to be successful at the time. So maybe something that could be explored.
I will say we've got a lot of concrete. We need to keep crushing it and using it. So we've got a lot.
Yeah, we've absolutely got the resources to manage for the minute.
Deputy Mayor Border.
Just while we're on the topic of the closing the roads, I think what's put the community off with a number of conversations that I've had is the words needs to be shut. I think if we can just reassure the community that we're going to deliberate on this and it's not being shut, I think that would alleviate some concern in the community.
Yes, there you go.
Thank you for making that observation. There was no recommendation to council to shut the roads.
Yes, councillor Knox seconded that motion. So I have a mover and a seconder. I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. Do I have any further motions without notice? No further motions without notice. Item 20, consideration of confidential items. We have nil. Therefore, at item 21, we're coming up to the close. You have nothing further, CEO. On that basis, eat your heart out, Councillor Inglis, for not being here. We have finished at 7:30. And you can quote the Mayor on that. And thank you very much for all your deliberations. Some very meaty subjects there. Enjoy supper.